West Sepik leaders call for border trade to resume. Indonesian army delivers CASA engine after refit. And Kutubu landowners drum up support for a new electorate.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Friday's news. The people of West Sepik province are calling on the national government to reopen the border. Since the closure of the border, many locals and farmers producing vanilla have been affected due to the lack of revenue generated from trading along the border. The sundown government has made an appeal to reopen the border under strict COVID-19 protocols.
In a bid to open the border to allow the ongoing trade between Indonesia and the people of West Sepik and East Sepik, a meeting between the West Sepik Border Administration and key agencies including the Immigrations Department was facilitated by the Department of Foreign Affairs. The meeting on border control trade was purposely conducted to commence trade on the 21st of June this year, but this didn't eventuate.
We did not start because of a couple of little things that we were not prepared in terms of isolation center, in terms of wash programs, and a bit of security and the infrastructure that was not prepared.
With the plight in COVID-19, the border remains closed. This has not only affected the ongoing trade between the two provinces, but had a devastating economic impact on majority of the farmers who produce vanilla.
We have a lot of farmers in East Sepik that have brought all their produce, especially vanilla, across the border illegally through the back roads and through the high seas. And because of the closure of the border, they find a lot of problems in Indonesia. They bump into a lot of mishandles and arrested and apprehended by the laws and authorities in Indonesia.
While many farmers and locals have raised concerns to reopen the border, the government has not set in place a border trade control structure to minimize the movement of people considering COVID-19.
Government does not have a mechanism in place there to control the movement of citizens from this side to the other side, and as well as from the other side to our side. We can say border is closed, but we cannot monitor the Highlands.
With the potential success in vanilla trade demonstrated between PNG and Indonesia, resident Indonesian ambassador to PNG Andreas Supandi suggested the both countries to enter into free trade agreement to facilitate trade and commerce. Despite the close of the border, people have continued the barter system in the hope of surviving through this difficult time. Member of Adaptation, Patrick Pruitt, says the government should consider giving the people of Sepik the opportunity to trade while abiding by COVID-19 protocols.
But I want to make a special request to our national government to look at this plight, because at least there is trade happening between both countries. We are aware of the pandemic, but we are also aware of the need of our people. In this time, people need to survive, and both Sepik provinces are leading in terms of vanilla production. And I think that we need to provide that opportunity. So my appeal to our development partners and of course our national government to come forward to assist in this economic venture where our two Sepik provinces are pursuing.
Meanwhile, the sundown provincial government has drafted a trade conduct concept which will only allow for 2 days trade every week. Suli in National EMTV News.
The government of Indonesia has paid off outstanding fees for the engine of PNG Defence Force aircraft CASA and transported the engine back to Papua New Guinea, a gesture Prime Minister James Marape described as the continuation of a strong traditional relationship between the two countries. Head of Indonesia's Armed Forces Strategic Intelligence Agency, Lieutenant General Johnny Supriyanto, was on the flight that brought back the engine.
Wednesday, 4th August 2021, a date worth remembering for not only PNG and the Indonesian government officials, but also the exchange of a great comradeship between the two military counterparts. After 7 years of being stagnant, the Indonesian government, under the leadership of Indonesian ambassador to PNG, Adriana Supranda, has fixed, paid off outstanding fees and transported CASA's engine back to PNG. The engine brought back by the Indonesian Air Force was fixed in Bandu, West Java province.
You would have noted in my last parade at PNG Defence Force headquarters, I did make mention of the fact that Papua New Guinea Defence Force is now viewed from a holistic perspective. You're no longer just waiting for a war to take place. You will assist, help rebuild your country. That is the reason why I pay special interest to the functionality and service of Papua New Guinea Defence Force to our country. I do acknowledge the Defence Force Department Secretary, who's here.
In 2014, the PNGDF CASA was due for a major calendar servicing in Bandung, Indonesia. After undergoing the service, the PNG government did not have the funds to bring back the engine, and the official documents that were supposed to have been completed by PNG Customs were not completed. This resulted in 7 years of delay until 2020, when the Indonesian ambassador to PNG, after visiting the Air Transport Wing, took actions to bring back the engine.
As a direct neighbor and a good friend, it is a privilege for Indonesia to assist and facilitate the effort to bring this aircraft engine back to PNG people. I visited this place last year. I was sitting at the cockpit of the aircraft. I was accompanied by my brother here, Chief Eddie. Pa Eddie, can we fly with this aircraft? Oh, Mr. Ambassador, no, there is no engine here. Where's the engine? In Bandung. Oh, Pa Eddie, Pa Adhan, my defense attaché, we should do something for this aircraft. And finally today, we have the engine here. Yeah.
Second in charge of PNGDF, Commodore Philip Polewara, has acknowledged those in the Indonesian military who took part in bringing back the engine.
Johnny Supriyanto, so I know you have other very, very important commitments for the Indonesian Armed Forces, but you make the time with your Commander-in-Chief to make this flight from Indonesia to Papua New Guinea. Thank you for taking the time to take the precious cargo, as the MC said, to Papua New Guinea, in Papua New Guinea Defence Force and the Air Transport Wing.
Theklagunga, National EMTV News.
Landowners in the Kutubu area have made a bold statement to the ruling government and Prime Minister James Marape following the presentation of the Kutubu Bosavi Open Electorate proposal. They insist the National Executive Council and Parliament must hear their cry. They believe Kutubu has contributed a lot to the national purse and nation's development.
Following the presentation of the Kutubu Bosavi Open Electorate submission to the Electoral Commission, community leaders and landowners have rallied behind the support. They held a conference to show their backing. The president of Kutubu LLG says it is time Kutubu and Bosavi is represented in Parliament.
Come on now, you must sorry lo Kutubu na Bosavi. You give him back na hamamas long people lo Kutubu na Bosavi. Give him elected from me. One boy from me must start Parliament on 2022.
Their concern is not a pop-up plan. Their cry began in 2011. A well-led landowner says they have followed proper process by submitting the proposal and final report to the Electoral Commission.
Over the requirements, we will meet finish. I'm start long paper finish. Now we come long table long EBC, the right person, the right office, and then EBC must go report good. Na put him go long EBC.
With the proposal submitted and handed to EC last week, the cry for authorities to consider the creation of the Kutubu Bosavi Open Electorate continued to mount. A landowner is calling on all levels of government to hear the voice of the people.
Chief Executive Officer from country, Marabe, you pigni blom ibla, Aaron top blom, cry blom ibla. Na Governor of the Southern Island, you pigni blom ibla, you harem cry blom, onibak. Kutubu
Kutubu boasts one of the longest revenue-generated income for the state. with projects in the oil and gas sector contributing billions to the national purse. According to records, Kutubu and Bosavi brag a population of 140,000 and a landmass of 6,794 square kilometers. Leaders reiterated that the move is not to oppose the current government, but the need to bring more services to communities who have been neglected.
Now me talking to government, next government, cross government, member of you know how to talk. Today now me talking you. Give me 5 years, you know give me electorate. One block boy, you mean go inside of 2022. 2022 miss. 5 by close to Kutubu.
Project has been given that. We have given that project given for the last 27 years. We want the same given to us. Is a political will now. And we are ready to take it. The submission says so. Submission and making the qualified location.
Jack LaPava Jr., National EMTV News.
The Eastern Highlands Women in SME plan was launched yesterday by the spouse of the Prime Minister, Rachel Marape. Women cooperative groups from all around the province attended to witness the occasion, including the provincial government administration. Eastern Highlands Governor Peter Numu says the plan is to support women who grow their business and access better markets.
Women from all around Eastern Highlands gathered in Goroka town yesterday. For the locals, the SME Women Plan aims to support women business in the province. The guest speaker urged women to drive this agenda forward by embracing economic activities in agriculture and business.
1% in you need him, good plus training, good plus have good plus tinting now. You can move one time, 1% in you work him now, develop him go good plan now.
Governor Peter Numu says the plan is backed by the provincial SME policy. That is to become a formal business arm for individuals or groups. Numu says funding will be allocated to support women in the province.
Prime Minister Bloimi talk na putim longem lo province mi banonap sidan na look solosem. Mi must organize him. People Blomi.
With the SME Women Plan launched, a number of major activities are planned. One is the SME Exposition, an opportunity to open dialogue with women business around the country and abroad. Governor Numu says the bottom line is to support women who will then support their families.
Because you are special. You are the best managers from the womb to the tomb. Huh? Mama no carry you come as you stop lo belly them you manage a finish. Because you no stop lo house how one man film him. House him all right.
Jack LaPava Jr., National EMTV News.
8 additional COVID-19 positive infections in the country have been identified as being the highly infectious Delta strain. Controller of the National Pandemic Response, David Manning, highlighted the risk of the onset of a potential third wave of COVID-19 infections and called on people to adhere to COVID-safe measures and to get vaccinated. The controller said of the 8 new cases, 1 person is from Papua New Guinea and the remaining 7 are from other countries. Mr. Manning said 1 of the 8 is a female nursing officer in Medang, who is the first Papua New Guinean to be confirmed as having contracted the Delta strain. The source of this infection remains under investigation, with further results to be released as these are received by the National Control Center. Among stories after the break, Pacific Island Forum celebrates 50 years. Stay with us for the details. Welcome back. Climate Change Development Authority, together with UNDP, recently conducted the National Adaptation Plan consultation workshop for the Highlands region. Discussions centered on the national adaptation and how to implement it in the country. This is part of the series of workshops held in southern Momate and the New Guinea Islands regions.
The two-day workshop held in Mount Hagen, Western Highlands province ended on Wednesday. This follows similar regional workshops on the National Adaptation Plan held in West New Britain and Port Moresby recently. The workshop saw over 40 participants from government agencies, private sector and development partners in attendance. Climate change is one of the issues affecting most countries in the world, with most countries taking steps to mitigate the impacts of climate change. In PNG, the National Adaptation Plan is a step towards addressing the impacts of climate change. The consultation workshop is aimed at raising awareness and to strengthen adaptation planning and implementation in the country. And the workshop has been conducted in 4 regional centers. CCDA Managing Director Ruel Yamuna commended UNDP for their collaborative effort in addressing climate change in the country. He says the world is in a deep climate crisis with changes to the environment happening at an alarming rate. The objective of the National Adaptation Plan is to reduce vulnerability to the impacts of climate change by building adaptive capacity and resilience, and to integrate climate change adaptation into relevant policies, programs and actions. The National Adaptation Plan is expected to be a strategic tool to address the impacts of climate change in the country. Rayon Lakingu, National, MTV News.
A confident group of children from Bukbilong Pikinini have launched a unique education material to encourage reading at an early age. Known as When I Grow Up, these children are linked up with their future role models and spend a day in a profession they aspire to become. The program is supported by a number of partners, including Brian Bell Group of Companies, BSP Bank, Airlines PNG and St. John Ambulance.
Taking the stage, dressed in what they aspire to be, these young children have convinced the audience they have what it takes to be a mini professional. Whether it is in the airline industry,
I want to be a pilot,
paramedic, or earning a living as a subsistence farmer.
Successful farmer, you need to know traditional farming method.
These children have set their minds on career goals at an early age. Executive Officer for Bukbilong Pikinini, Lian Resson, has described the formulation of the When I Grow Up series as exciting and rewarding.
First, I'm emotional, because a lot of what you do, we're so involved in the programs and all that, and we don't realize how much impact that we have, in these children. So when we see, like an event like this and the support from all our partners, that's as emotional. I'm proud, I'm happy. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a very rewarding experience. We wouldn't have been able to do all this or come this far without the support from our partners.
The launching of these books, which falls on the last day of the National Literacy Week, is a step towards building a mini library for mini professionals. A video that beautifully captures the mini professionals in their roles was also launched today. A second series is in production stage and captures another set of mini professionals.
And we thought it would be important that children see themselves in the books that we have in the library. So this is how the series came about. We also thought that it's important for children to learn from an early age, start to see their future careers, future professions, what they want to be when they grow up. So when they come in and learn, they are motivated and encouraged. When we have them study about what they want to be when they grow up. So we've worked with our partners. Big thanks to our partners as well.
With the need to improve literacy rates in the country, the circulation, the curriculum used in developing the series, there was close consultation with the Department of Education and Bukbilong Pikinini.
I congratulate Bukbilong Pikinini for this achievement and hope the Secretary himself will come at that time to do the launching. The Department of Education, together with the parents, is concerned about the data regarding the improvement of literacy and numeracy in Papua New Guinea. We see Book Rapikinini taking charge to improve literacy and numeracy, with evidence of improvement through their learning centers, where children are able to read and able to read simple sentences, write, do basic maths, and have a good level of general knowledge.
These books will be sold at Tio Disc and at Book Bilong Pikinini. Thaklagunga, National EMTV News.
BSP Financial Group Limited's Alatau branch in Milne Bay Province is focusing on financial literacy training or banking education amongst local communities in the area. Branch manager Martin Gillo says BSP has been working alongside the Milne Bay provincial government to deliver banking services. More than 8,000 participants have benefited from banking education in the province since its inception in 2015, a program that focuses on savings and budgeting that eventually leads to business development skills.
Financial literacy or banking education has become the focus of BSP Alatau branch, giving people and customers a better understanding of why banking services exist and how they benefit people. The branch was established 38 years ago. It is assisted by two sub-branches, one located on Padi Padi Estate in the Suau district and the other in Losuya in the Trobriand Islands. Together, they service the province's 4 districts and 16 LLGs. Population of the province is scattered across the vast and remote islands where access to basic banking services and other government services is very minimal. BSP Alatau branch manager Martin Gillo says financial literacy training is the way forward to achieve the bank's strategic goals. As part of BSP's ongoing obligation towards the community where it operates, BSP Alatau last year delivered medical equipment to Alatau Urban Clinic and a hand-washing station each to Koya Bule Primary School and Raven Recreation Area. Branch manager Gillo says due to COVID-19, many public places such as hospitals and health clinics have adopted hand-washing as a compulsory activity. The hand-washing stations have helped reduce the spread of many other diseases as well. BSP Group General Manager Daniel Font says despite security issues in the province in recent times, BSP Alatau branch continues to serve Milne Bay's population. He says the Alatau branch is also assisted by 3 BSP cash agents located both on the islands and the mainland, 3 ATMs and 278 active EFTPOS merchants. Dennis Orere, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the NAS Fund market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 US, $0.3703 Australian dollars, $0.3896 New Zealand dollars, and 29.84 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower, coffee, cocoa, and copper closed higher. Palm oil and copper closed lower, crude oil is trading lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with stories making headlines overseas after the break. Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister James Marape joined other Pacific leaders today for the 51st Pacific Islands Forum through a virtual conference. In his statement, PM Marape urged for a united voice to address issues affecting island nations. He also called for reforms for PIF.
Leaders from around the Pacific joined a virtual conference this morning to mark 50 years of the Pacific Islands Forum. The leaders' retreat echoed similar concerns to address effects of climate change, among others. In his speech, Prime Minister James Marape called for a united front.
Despite the challenges, as I said earlier, we remain strong, we remain together. Some challenges are man-made, some challenges are natural, some challenges can be overcome. Some challenges are tough, but nonetheless, with God on our side and with the forum togetherness, we could sail through.
Adding on, the PM said the forum is a tool to advocate for change and improve communities in the Pacific. Marape said a collective decision-making is urgently needed. He wants nations to adapt to better platforms to advocate for change. Concluding his remark, PM Marape sought the forum's support to allow for reforms. He believes this is crucial.
We are certain that into the not too distant future, we are proposing for reform to Pacific Island Forum, the way we do business, so that it is we are cognizant to the time that we are living in today, and we maintain harmony and balance in our region going forward. So, Mr. Chair, as we take leadership in our forum in the next few years, may your leadership being one of our foundation members of PIF, Fiji being a foundation member of PIF, New Zealand, and all of us together, may we reform the way we do business in PIF so that all family of nations in our Pacific, Blue Pacific continent feel included, feel inclusive, all voices heard, irrespective of the size of our nations, irrespective of the different sensitivities. May we all reform for the better so that there seems to be a fair place for all of us in the Pacific.
U.S. President Joe Biden sent a recorded statement to the forum. President Biden says the superpower will increase funding to assist island nations.
The United States is committed to dramatically reducing our emissions by 2030 and building resilience into vulnerable communities globally. We're doubling our annual contribution to climate finance for developing nations and tripling our finance for climate adaptation. The United States is a proud Pacific power and will continue to be an active, engaged partner in the region and a friend to all your countries. A free and open Indo-Pacific is vital to each of our nations' security and prosperity, and to all our shared futures.
Jack Lapava Jr., National MTV News.
Trukai Sports is next. All the details after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Community volleyball sports team representing the DCA compound residents in Konedobu have received a new set of uniforms just in time for their grand final appearance tomorrow.
The volleyball competition that the Middle East team has been competing in was an initiative of the Mosby South MP, Justin Chechenko. Community sports plays an important role in building stronger ties amongst residents while providing a worthwhile activity to participate in.
I'm the captain of the Middle East men's division. We are leading the ladder and we got the minor premier for this competition. Our competition is coming to an end, which is tomorrow is grand final. And thank you for Stephen Kilage and boys. Roughly, this is a long time. We started 2005 when we are playing for juniors. Our big brothers used to play seniors game, and now we are playing seniors men's division. Women's division too, but our girl didn't make it through the finals. We are boys only. Volleyball, we came to be on passing about drink, we get bigger still. So we stop is like no passing law. We came, we concentrate law. Play volleyball, not stop so.
The Middle East team received their new uniforms thanks to the support provided by Corporate Executive Guards Director Stephen Kilage.
Yes, one of my commanders lives here also too. So he brought the letter saying that his boys were at a competition. So I said, oh yeah, no worries, we'll come and support wherever we can. So just a little shirt for the boys, the Middle East boys who made it to the final. So hopefully they get the win come tomorrow on Saturday. But thank you all. Member Southam Zasichenko Putim Slagan competition keeps a lot of people out of trouble, especially all youths.
Huxley Lovai, Chukai Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Partly cloudy with chances of light showers and drizzles in Port Moresby and Popondetta. Mostly fine and windy in Daru. Cloudy with a few showers in Kerema. And mostly fine weather, though partly cloudy in Alatau.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Friday, the 6th of August 2021. On behalf of the news team, have a safe weekend, pleasant viewing, and good night.